I've never seen the play Joseph and His Technicolor Dreamcoat, but it's one of my favorite passages in Genesis. And it's the story of Joseph. Again, you're familiar with it. Joseph is the child of Jacob's old age, and he's kind of his favorite son. And that creates this tremendous jealousy on the part of his brothers to the point where they want to kill him. Instead, Reuben steps in and saves his life by saying, instead of killing him, let's just sell him to the Ishmaelites as a slave. This is Genesis chapter 37. And so that's what happens. Joseph goes down to Egypt, ends up becoming a very powerful man because he's able to interpret these mysterious dreams that Pharaoh has regarding an upcoming 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. And because Joseph interprets the dreams correctly, the Egyptians are able to store up food during those plentiful years to save the people during the years of famine. So we see there God taking something very horrible, these brothers wanting to kill their brother and selling him into slavery. He takes that and turns it into something absolutely saving, that through this act of betrayal, we see that Joseph is able to save the lives of tens of thousands of people because he's able to interpret Pharaoh's mysterious dreams. We see that as a foreshadowing, as a prototype of the Paschal mystery, that in the death and resurrection of Christ, we see the worst possible thing that could happen, that humanity crucifies God's Son, that Jesus came only to heal, bless, forgive, and save, and people nail him to the cross. They label him a blasphemer. They reject him. And God takes that and transforms the most horrible thing that could have ever happened into the most wonderful of all possible outcomes, namely our salvation through the power of the resurrection. So we can never forget, when the soldier pierces the side of the crucified Christ, what comes out? Not vengeance, not retribution, not divine wrath. What comes out is this torrent of mercy, this flow of blood and water that symbolize baptism and the Eucharist, God's love for us. So it's almost like the more we sin and wonder if it's possible, God loves us even more in our lostness. That's how desperately he wants us to be found and to be saved. So in the narrative of Joseph, we see this foreshadowing that God takes the worst things in our lives and somehow transforms them into the greatest of all possible outcomes if we allow him the freedom to move and act and be within us, the grace of the Paschal mystery.